Welcome back to Trulea Entertainment. I'm your host, Cory Lea. Today's episode, Gabe Ligon. Gabe is the visionary behind Magnolia Wilds, a unique sanctuary that blends conservation, adventure, and education into an unforgettable experience. Gabe, thanks for coming.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, Gabe, what inspired you to start a wildlife preserve?
I was an animal nerd since I was a kid. So I actually started out with an incubator, which for those of you who don't know, it's a device to hatch eggs. My grandfather got in the encyclopedia when I was 3 years old and made me one out of an old welding rod box. He got a wafer switch from the co-op. It turned on and off with a light bulb, and basically you have to keep an incubator at about 99 degrees. So I had to go and turn the eggs by hand because it didn't have an automatic turner. And I remember hatching my first eggs, and it was just like one of those core memories you'll never forget. But birds, and to start with chickens, really inspired me. I started getting my parents' VHS video camera when I was a kid and making my own videos. That turned into me being very interested in biology and science in school. And then I went to LSU for animal science. At the same time, my ADHD is always like thinking of other things. So I was in Costa Rica on a volunteer trip, and this wildlife rehab center offered me to come back, and like I took a semester off sophomore year at LSU, went down there, and a spider monkey actually like pretty badly attacked me. Like I have a huge scar on my ear. I have 16 scars, or did at one time, from this spider monkey.
One spider monkey?
Yes. When they say come at you like a spider monkey, that is you don't want a spider monkey to come at you. You're not going to win in the rainforest. You're not going to win that fight.
How big was the spider monkey?
They're about 3 foot tall, but they're all muscle. I was like on some trails. This was a spider monkey that I would say was incorrectly rehabilitated. So you want animals to have like a flight response, not a fight response when you rehabilitate. Can you imagine like releasing a tiger that wasn't scared of you? Yet you can. So those are some of the parameters we check within wildlife rehabilitation. But this monkey attacked me. I was off from school at the time, and I had some parrots that I'd adopted, and I ended up figuring out how to get like a federal license and permits, and I had an acre of land in a barn. That's where our old business name Barn Hill Preserve came from. And I did it out of passion. I never thought it would turn into a tourist facility, because I did it out of my love for like public speaking, sharing my information with kids, and that morphed into, pretty much a tourist attraction and a conservation effort.
Man, that's wild.
Yeah. It's surreal to me because I'm 33 now, and I look back at all these 13 years of memories. I'm like, was that real? Like it seems surreal for me. But I was also like a young dumbass, like a 20-year-old starting this and like having employees, and there's no playbook, or maybe there is, but I didn't have it. So I did the best I could in some situations.
Wow. 33. I thought you were a little bit older than that for some reason.
I'm 30.
You were, how old was this when it like really popped for you?
I started at 20, and then I'd say after year 4 or 5, I started this by this school show business plan. So we go and do school shows all over the country, and it's free. The schools give us we sell merchandise afterwards. So I was like 20, and we made $3,000 or $4,000 at our first school. That turned into about $1 million a year within a few years.
Wow.
And I used that as the capital, just funded it myself to buy the land and build the enclosures. And now, we still do the school shows. It's a smaller part of what we do, but we're at about 114 acres in Louisiana.
Wow.
And we have a zipline park, safari park, and the preserve now. So, but it's taken 13 years just to even get to the point, where we can kind of open our doors to a different type of people. We're working on a New Orleans tourism plan now, like to bring in tour buses to help out our little town Clinton, Louisiana as well, our Main Street community. So, yeah.
How awesome is that to give back to the community, huh?
It is. It's been fun. I love East Feliciana Parish. Like I went to Silliman Institute. My great grandfather was like one of the founders. I love my little community, and like to be able to bring people, like we have people that fly in from London, Australia to do our otter swim experience. Yeah. And I'm just so happy to like they can go over to St. Francisville now, and St. Francisville has got a booming tourism industry.
Is it?
They go to the Myrtles, and like I'm so proud to show off Louisiana, because we're a cool state. Like we are
absolutely a cool state.
We are. We've got culture. We've got things no one else has.
Yep.
And it's something to brag about. It is.
Yes, I definitely agree. I forget who was talking about Louisiana and bringing people here.
Yeah.
It is if you've never been, it is a extremely attractive state. I mean, just for one thing, football.
Yeah.
Like, just say that.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
So, to go back to Magnolia Wilds, your preserve, what's involved in the day-to-day upkeep of running a preserve with that many animals?
I'm 33 with a gray beard, so you tell me. But when they say it's a zoo in there, I always tell people the zoo and animal industry teaches you how to organize chaos. Strategic planning, we make it look easy because every enclosure has got its own set of challenges. Then you deal with different levels of employees, all the way from zookeepers to upper management, marketing. And then when you add the veterinary side and then the tourism, we're bringing in hundreds of children. It's a huge mix, and it teaches you to be a really good strategic planner.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I'm
Yes.
still trying to figure out how to stage everybody for the podcast coming up.
Well, it's maybe I can give you. I'll just pretend you guys are all zoo animals, and I can help with your schedule. But we also have an incredible team. Like we've got a really great team that can put it all together. But it takes a really big unit to run a facility correctly.
I can only imagine.
Yes.
For the listeners, I actually helped
remember.
when it was previously named Barnhill.
Yes.
I must have been probably 17 when I helped
I think you
out.
were in high school.
And,
yeah.
And wow, has it like just burst on the scene? It is unbelievable to see that thing progress how it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, you might not say, but from a person looking outside in,
Yeah.
that like feels like it blew up quick.
Yeah, I guess so. We have a multifaceted way that we attract tours. So we have our pumpkin patch, so that's open to everyone. We used to have a higher ticket price, so a lot of people came in from out of state, out of country to do these experiences you can't really do anywhere else. But we've really evolved over the years. Like you used to be able to hold sloths. I don't think that's ethical anymore for the most part. I don't have a problem with people that do it, but for us, I just don't think it's good. We've really morphed and evolved with the times, but now with our safari park, $19, it's something the whole family can enjoy, and that's why we rebranded to Magnolia Wilds. We're more than just a preserve. We also have the state's largest zipline park right there in the Feliciana. So we've really tried to make you can spend a weekend with us now. You can, and we're on the Comeet River. So at the end of your zipline, go check out the river. We've got a Jackson, Louisiana, right there with a rum distillery. You can make a really good, fun Louisiana weekend out of it.
Yes, that is definitely. That was going to be one of my next podcasts. Is where you could go for a little getaway in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And I think that little area between Clinton and St. Francisville is perfect.
They used to brand it as Feliciana Hill Country.
Yeah.
And I like that. We've got rolling hills. We've got everything for the weekend. We've got the Mississippi River right there in St. Francisville. So it's really a fun weekend spot.
I would say so.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure. Real quick, before we get to our next topic, I wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor, Sweet Heat for Your Meat. Sweet Heat for Your Meat is a bold blend of herbs and spices designed to ignite your taste buds with flavor, and just a little bit of heat, if I can talk. Whether you're grilling, baking, blackening, it's perfect seasoning for all your dishes. You can find them at sweetheatforyourmeat.com. Nailed it.
I want to try it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Try it out.
Oh no, it's like a hot, like a Cajun seasoning.
Yeah. It's, man, it can go on almost anything you want.
Really?
It flavors with barbecue, Cajun, Creole, even vegetables. Me and the wife, we love it on green beans.
Really?
It is awesome. So
I'll have to try it.
Yeah, you can find them. So they're on their website. You can go on their website and they have scroll down to the bottom, and it's a massive list of where they're at, and they're actually in all Rouses.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got one.
And the two Oak Points, Watts and Oak Point, and in Central Oak Point.
Okay.
So he's really The owner's name is Charlie Gladys, and he is really getting after it, I would say.
That's awesome. He's killing it. Yeah, good job, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, on our next topic, Gabe, I wanted to talk about conservation efforts. So in 2020, for those that may not know, Australia faced devastating bushfires that burned over 19 million hectares. I had to look what a hectare was because we're America. We don't know what that is. For those that are listening, that is 75,000 square miles. That is a lot.
Yeah.
I saw on your website that y'all ended up going out after the fires.
We did.
What did that look like firsthand see that?
It's memorable, to say the least. So, Australia is meant to burn. I'll start off saying that. So the forests are meant to burn, but not in the severity that they did. So what happened, really dry spell, the planet is changing. It's very, politicized, but the planet is changing. We have to understand that. And those fires killed and injured countless animals. The things we were most worried about were the koalas. So koala populations are very vulnerable. If you didn't know this, koalas actually have chlamydia that goes rampant through the koala populations.
Wow.
So chlamydia has affected koalas. So we were working in the last leg of our trip on Kangaroo Island. And we were actually helping, we would use thermal drones and we would locate koalas that were still alive after the fires and set up these special traps, and they would climb down. We would trap them and bring them into the wildlife hospitals. Previous to that, we were delivering, like LSU did a ton. The LSU vet school sent us with a ton of equipment things to donate. We fundraise, and we went and dispersed that to like the little guys, the wildlife carers they call them there, that really needed the money. But that was a really rough trip. We saw some really bad things, the people, the animals, and some purists say just like leave the animals alone, but us we've affected the planet so much. We're beyond that point. Like we have to help or we're going to lose. We are losing species by the day, and we're past the point of saying let nature take its course. We've affected nature way too much.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a fine line to walk down, whether or not if we go and intervene, are we hurting the environment or the ecosystem more, helping rather than not?
We've already hurt it so bad, in my opinion. Like we've hurt it so bad that invasive. The California wildfires. What causes a lot of that is invasive Australian gum trees, like in eucalyptus. It's taken over. People don't realize that, but humans brought in eucalyptus trees because they're pretty. They spread because there's no natural cycle, a checks and balance to set those trees aside. So those trees have actually been like detrimental in the Australian fire. So that's an example of right there how we've messed up. So now, like, just to say nature take its course, well, there's no nature's not natural anymore. Humans have intervened.
Well, a quick for most of y'all that probably I've heard, we can just take a look at Florida.
Yes.
In the Everglades.
Yes, correct.
With
Burmese python, iguanas. Louisiana actually just passed some new legislation, which I agree with, regulating some of the exotic pets here, and those that are invasive are. We already have nutria, which are decimating our coast. Like the coastal erosion from nutria is absolutely awful. So we need to. Iguanas also cause coastal erosion, but in Miami. If you don't know what a key deer is, it's like a miniature white-tailed deer that's only native to the Florida Everglades or to the Keys, and the iguanas actually compete with the key deer for viable grass. So I'm very, very supportive of legislation that will call for the prevention of invasive species taking over.
Yeah. Like I said, the great example is Florida right now with the Burmese python.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, we have enough nutria. We don't need any monster snakes here. And thankfully we have winters that do kill off most invasive reptiles that escape here, but down in the Everglades it doesn't get cold enough to truly kill all those. And then you've got these giant constrictors that have huge clutches, and we don't even know how many are there.
I know, it makes me so scared that Louisiana is another great prime place for Burmese pythons.
Correct.
That scares me.
Wildlife and Fisheries is on it, and that new legislation hopefully will help curb that before it gets out of control.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean,
yeah.
Take a look at that.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow. What was that animal you're talking about in Florida that they're only native to that?
The key deer. It's like a white-tailed deer, but it's like a miniature deer. They can drink brackish water. They're literally like miniature, tiny little deer.
You cannot show my wife that.
They're I think they're pretty protected, but they're cool. They're real. I did an island survival program down there when I was in the Scouts, like a long time ago, 17 years, and we saw a few. They're super docile too.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, and they're only native to that area?
Yeah, they're called key deer.
Oh, they got to be endangered, huh?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. That, habitat loss plus iguanas plus tourist intervention, they're definitely endangered.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Another one for Louisiana that I have started to see a comeback, black bears.
And that's awesome.
They have seriously... They're starting to pop up on trail cameras everywhere.
It's good. Black bears are seed dispersers. They help take care of, we have an abundance of deer populations. Like, you don't want some populations to get too big. So black bears are omnivorous animals. They're not only going to help, curb deer populations, but they're going to help disperse seeds, and they till up ground. Like, all those animals have their place in the environment. They lived here before humans, and there's a study, you can look it up, about like reintroducing the wolves into these national parks and how it actually helped with the way the river flowed. Like, that's how much everything is connected. And, our planet's heating up. Bison can actually help sequester carbon and put it back into the soil. So, like, all these people don't realize animals have jobs.
Yeah.
Like seed dispersers, for example. All these birds are planting seeds for us.
Yep.
We don't go plant seeds, but then you let out your cats. By the way, here's my plug. If you have a cat, keep it inside. Cats should not be outdoors. When you kill our native birds and our seed dispersers, we have less trees. Our planet gets warmer. So, it's animals have their place. They're not just fun to look at. Like, they keep our planet running smoothly and healthy.
I was curious. How many? Do you know the number of how many small animals cats kill a year? Because that number has got to be up
I'm going to
there.
guess over 5 million worldwide.
Yeah. That's
Australia's the worst. Actually, Australia, they have a program where they, kill feral cats. And it's not a popular opinion, but it works because they have a lot of their animals there are these micro mammals, and cats have decimated them. Also, cats spread toxoplasmosis. I love cats. If you have a cat in the house, good on you for that. But if it's a cat that you're letting outdoors and it's killing native wildlife, it's not good. It's really bad. People don't realize, like, nutria and Burmese pythons aren't the only invasive species that are destroying our planet.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so much.
It is, yeah.
That is so much. So the third topic I wanted to talk about was Kids Saving the Rainforest, KSTR.
Yes.
So Magnolia Wilds is partnered with a nonprofit, KSTR. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I can tell you so much about it. So I just got off a plane from Costa Rica. Kids Saving the Rainforest is a 27-year-old nonprofit. I'm the president of the board. My colleague Josh Mueller and I kind of took over the project from the old guard about 4 years ago. It was started by kids almost 30 years ago, and the founder was in like teen people, voted one of the most influential people of the year back in the 90s. And, the old board just kind of got tired. They were in their 70s. But we do some really, really incredible work down there. We not only do research. We partner with major universities. We're researching things going on in the jungle. We rehabilitate, so animals that are sick, injured, and orphaned, we try to get them back into the wild. We have a sanctuary for non-releasable animals. And the coolest thing we do, we're a campus. So we can sleep about 40 to 45 people on campus per night. Students live there for sometimes up to 6 months, and they're researching things going on in the rainforest or learning how to rehabilitate these animals. We have a full team of veterinarians there. A few days ago, we were releasing a Galapagos sea lion. while I was there, we rescued an owl, a boa constrictor, scarlet macaws, and some of these animals are actually critically endangered. We're also doing some investigating into the palm plantations there. If you've heard about palm oil.
What is that?
Palm oil is in pretty much a lot of like sweet foods that we eat, toothpaste, and it's not the best for the environment.
Okay.
So there's a lot of issues in Asia. If you hear about orangutans being killed in masses, it's usually from the palm oil plantations, but they're also in Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to work with the palm oil plantations for like more practical conservation. I say I'm a conservation cowboy or a practical conservationist because some people say you can't eat meat and be a conservationist.
Right.
Well, bison sequester carbon, put it back in the soil. So there you go. You can't eat palm oil. Well, they're going to keep growing palm oil, but let's come up with some more practical conservation methods people can use to keep growing palm oil, but maybe better for the wildlife. So practical conservation for me is my message, because saying you can't do something, just especially the industries that do it, they're not going to listen to you if you say you can't do it. Let's say let's work together and let's do research or investigate ways we can do it that's better for wildlife.
Sure.
Yeah,
I love that. I feel like a lot of people, side note, tend to not want to cooperate. Let's just have a conversation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
So,
let's talk it through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is such an awesome. So how did you hear about Kids Saving the Rainforest?
I've known about it for years because I've gone to Costa Rica since I was in my teens. I was there actually during COVID on a trip. I always go on these wildlife trips, and I met the old owner. He was, very much wanting to get out of it, retired. His wife was sick, living in another state. And I said, it's our dream to do this. My business partner, Josh Mueller, flew down. We bought the entire campus. We bought a 42-acre campus, bungalows, restaurant, volunteer center, completely didn't know what we were getting into. I had to learn to speak Spanish. I went to Spanish school because most of the staff didn't speak English, and we just did the damn thing. We let the nonprofit use our entire campus, rent free. We got voted onto the board, brought on some new energetic board members, and it's still a work in progress. It's a big project to run, and to have that history of 27 years. One of the Kennedys stayed down at the campus at one time, years ago. It's a crazy place.
Wow.
We're near one of the most popular beach parks in all of Central America, Manuel Antonio National Park. It was on Our Great National Parks on Netflix in Costa Rica.
Really?
That's us. Yeah, that's our park there.
How far in proximity to it?
About 20 minutes.
That's
crazy. So we're this campus with students from all over the world. We have, some influencers that help us with the project to preach the message, but we're trying to build something there completely different, and like I said, practical solutions to the problems we're facing as a generation.
So students, what ages are these students? I guess college?
Yeah, usually you have to be 16 or up. We prefer 18, but these are usually students that are studying some form of wildlife medicine, veterinary medicine, conservation, or maybe even marketing. But we really accept anyone. Families bring their kids down there and they do these volunteer programs. Look, if you come, we'll put you to work. It's fun, but you can have this really fulfilling day in the jungle and then be on this beautiful beach in the afternoon. There's parrots flying everywhere, capuchin monkeys on the beach, squirrel monkeys. It's a magical place.
Yeah. Speaking of Costa Rica, I was actually there one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I could not tell you. It was actually for a church camp.
Okay.
And we went in the mountains.
Okay.
I guess rainforest.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. Now, the spider monkey I encountered was not big.
Okay.
It was well, let me rephrase this. Was it a spider monkey?
Yeah, there you go. There's four speed. They could be.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it was probably, I don't know, for the listeners, it was probably like a foot and a half.
Okay.
It was kind of tiny.
Okay. He's playing down my spider. Promise Mom was a big, strapping, muscular girl.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. And I saw I could be wrong. It looked like a toucan or something.
Yeah, there's toucans there for sure. Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, toucan. Or they in Spanish it's toucan, but
toucan?
Close enough. Yeah, toucan.
Toucan.
Yeah.
That's fun to say.
Yeah, toucan. Yeah.
Could you? How fluent are you now in Spanish?
I'm pretty good.
You can pick up on
I can
some stuff
speak.
pretty
Yeah,
good?
yeah. Conversational Spanish. I'm great. Maybe when I'm like doing like government relations, I'm not as comfortable as I should be. I can get the point across, but I try to think I'm well spoken in English, but in Spanish, I feel like
maybe
I'm
you have
just
an
like
interpreter.
maybe like a first grader. I don't know, something. Yeah.
Well, what is it? They put the verb before the adjective.
Yeah, so it's all about, I tell people, like, when you want to learn Spanish, learn to conjugate. So that's like your mind learns these rules of, like, if you learn a verb, then you plug it in because there's, like, all these different ways to say it.
Yeah.
So once you learn some of the basic rules, you're really good. But I went and stayed at my friend Josh, my business partner. He was actually studying it for a week, and I'm super competitive. I didn't have any Spanish. I'm like, you're studying Spanish at a Spanish school? He's like, yeah, bro, it's great. So I look up he goes for a week, I go for a month. I stayed there for a full month, and he gave up on Spanish after that. He's like, I don't even care anymore.
No, I tried a few years back. Me and the wife, we tried to self-teach ourselves, like, just basic, like, numbers, colors, and then, like, family, like mom, dad, uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got like 3 weeks in. Probably could count some numbers, and that's about it.
Yeah. Hey, at least you tried.
Well, they say, and I say they, I forget who said it. Apparently, once you understand Spanish, the other languages kind of come a little bit easier. Is that true?
I would say so, because once your brain changes, like, and learn to conjugate and learn to plug in, like, the algorithm of, translating, I'd say so. Yes. I would say so. Comparatively, English is actually very complicated. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, the rules don't really add up. Like, take slaughter, put an S in. I mean, take laughter, put an S in front of it. Then you've got slaughter. Like, not laughter. Like, what? Yeah, it's hard.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so complicated.
It is. It really is.
Have you heard of this guy? He lives in the Amazon. I don't know his name. He's been on Joe Rogan's podcast. And I heard recently they cut down a part of the Amazon.
They cut down the Amazon every day.
Like a highway or something that got really national news.
It's every day. Like, we don't realize it. We lose football fields of Amazon like every few minutes. Humans do need land for agriculture and things, but there's so many species in the Amazon that we've probably not even discovered yet. Even plant medicine. There's so many cures for disease and things in the Amazon. That's what really scares me, because we might lose the cure for every disease on the planet. Not only that, but we talk about our planet heating up, and humans do put out carbon. Like, there's no doubt we need to plant more trees. We need to protect more forest. And then also, all the old trees are things we can't even grow in a lifetime. So some of these really critically endangered animals, like macaws and these parrots, they only nest in the cavity of old trees. So there's things that that we could cut down that we can't even get back in 100 years from now.
That's really bad.
It is.
That is so bad. I did not know. You said a football field, like every minute or something?
I would say so. Probably more than that. The Amazon also, it's like with climate change, is drier than it used to be. So there are actually fires in the Amazon as well. Wow. And there's also uncontacted Amazonian tribes there with no immunity. Like, if we went there, if you and I, like, we would probably give them some virus on accident. Just like the Native Americans faced problems with the settlers, these people have no natural immunity. So hopefully the world can get together and figure out how to leave the Amazon alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I fully 100% back that up. I think the Amazon is something that is, like, sacred, that, like, hey, let's just not go there.
Yes.
Like, you can have your exploration, you can go out there and explore.
Yeah, of course.
But, like,
it's not cut it down.
On like a very few people at a time. Let's just do that.
Yeah. I hope we can get together and do that one day as a planet.
Yeah. But I think it kind of goes back to what I think all the time is, like, people are so on their phones and they want to do something, but they're not actually doing it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's how can we do it?
Yeah.
What's the first step? you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like a good step would be, you know, Kids Saving the Rainforest, right?
Yeah.
So we'll wrap this up. I got a few more questions for you.
Hit me.
What is your thoughts on the idea of bringing back animals like the Tasmanian tiger and the dire wolf?
So Colossal Biosciences is doing this project to bring animals, back from the grave, so to speak. The dire wolf is cool. I think it's cool that they're practicing and like working on this technology.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if a dire wolf has a lot of conservation value because we already have wolves, and wolves do amazing things in the parks and the ecosystems they're in. I see more conservation value for the mammoths. Mammoths are no longer in the tundra, and mammoths had significant conservation status in the tundra, like even with the way they sequester carbon. They're also trying to bring back the Tasmanian tiger. I've worked in Australia with macropod or kangaroo populations. Other than the dingo, Australia doesn't have enough like big predators. The thylacine or the Tasmanian tiger used to be their version of, it's basically like a marsupial cat wolf that kept its baby in a pouch.
And that's not too far removed from being extinct, right? Was that the 60s? What year was that?
We have it on film. Like there's actually a black and white film of one still in a zoo, and there's always like sightings in Tasmania.
Yeah.
They used to be on mainland Australia, with the last, recorded specimens were living in Tasmania. But I think that's a really, really noble project that they're trying to do. The problem with that is even if you get a viable embryo or a baby that's ready to go, marsupials are really strange. Like they're going to have to take this like whole baby, because they don't just grow it in a dish. They have to put it into a mother.
Yeah. So
they're going to have to basically like put this Tasmanian tiger into the pouch of another marsupial. So it's not just, the lab part of it. It's also like the animal care side of things they're going to figure out. But I think we've messed up the planet so much. Anyone that's trying to fix it in some way, shape, or form, kudos to them.
Yeah. I also read somewhere that they're also trying to just have a database of like DNA of just we know it as normal animals, but apparently there was no one doing that previously, of just like, hey, here's the DNA of a horse.
Yes.
Say.
Yes.
Like, that's great. I feel like that's awesome.
It is.
Like, hey, if something goes, or something, I don't know, tigers, I know that they're, they're pretty, the numbers are not great.
Yeah.
Say they have the genetics of the, tiger DNA, whatever scientific terms.
Yeah.
I'm butchering. But if they have that, I feel like, okay, hey, the numbers are starting to go down a little bit. Hey, let's figure out real quick a way to help that out, and then boom, they have the DNA, and let's figure out what we can do.
With the way technology is advancing, I think to have like we have a seed bank. Like if anything ever happened to the world's crop supply, there's this seed bank. I think a DNA bank is incredible. And that's where zoos, some people, like there's a lot of stigma around zoos and conservation parks, but our planet has so few viable spaces for some of these animals. And any zoo that's helping with conservation or helping contribute to these research projects, are highly important to both their communities, their states, their countries. So look at the panda. China's pandas were almost extinct years ago, and they've got that down to a science now. The panda populations have rebounded thanks to research and veterinary medicine practices that were researched and pioneered in zoos.
I heard something about the pandas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, China owns all the world's pandas. If you have a panda here, like the few zoos that have it, that is China's panda.
Yeah.
They'll actually take a panda for diplomatic problems. Like that's a slap on the hand. Is if they take your panda, that country is not in good standing. I could have
sworn I literally saw it today.
Really?
Yeah.
It could be. Pandas are used in diplomacy. Yeah. China's got all the pandas.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
So with the same thought on the idea of bringing back animals like the Tasmanian tiger and the dire wolf, could this help with research or create more problems, in your opinion?
I mean, laboratories can always have their pros and cons. You know, I'd say mostly good things come out of a laboratory, but I don't think we know, the repercussions of putting animals back into the wild, like, that haven't been there in hundreds of years. There's probably been like other animals that have moved in their place, but I think if we're trying, and like I said, at this point, what can it hurt?
Yeah.
What can it hurt? Obviously, everything needs to be done with guidelines and regulations, but I think that people trying their best is all we can do at this point.
Yeah. I guess why I asked that question, I was listening to Joe Rogan, of course, and like half the population.
Yeah.
And he was saying that they released some wolves in Montana.
Okay.
That really disrupted some local cattle ranchers, and I was like, wow. I guess I could see that, but I don't know if like you release like 5, like, hey, you just gonna tackle a herd of cattle before somebody notices. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we call those human wildlife conflicts, and you're going to have them. You're going to have them, but I think we have to deal with that to the best of our abilities, and there are going to be casualties on both sides. Wildlife die and windmills, but probably, there's just like checks and balances. And unfortunately, when you're mixing humans and their domestic animals, like our dogs, cats, cows, horses, and wildlife populations, you are certainly going to have some casualties on both sides. People get eaten by alligators and crocodiles sometimes. It's horrible, but it's the world we live in.
It's nature.
It's nature.
It's unfortunate that it is.
Yes.
I mean, it's it's just nature.
Yes.
It's life.
It is.
All right. Well, Gabe, I think that's about it.
Thanks for having me, man. It was fun.
Oh, I loved it. I appreciate your time, Gabe. To our listeners, just let me know what you guys think. Please email us at TruLeaEntertainment.podcast@gmail.com. Until next time, guys. Deuces.
Thank you, sir.